Today's topic is going to be on psychology. And psychology can affect us in many, many different ways as traders. And how many people, for example, especially if you've day traded, you're trading along and you're getting now close to the end of the trading day. And you're up. Let's say you're up, doesn't really matter what percentage, but you're up a good percentage. And you still got about a half an hour left. You're trading a very short time frame. So technically you could get a trade in, especially if you're a scalper. But let's just say you're trucking along there and you decide not to take a trade because you don't want to end the day down. You want to take home the profit and have a good evening. All right, is that psychology? Is that a form of psychology? Think about that. And the answer is yes. All right, technically, if you have a proven system, you should trade it right up until the time that is available enough for that system to work. Now, if you get 10 minutes to close and you need enough price bars to make it work, then obviously that means you don't want to trade it that close to the close. But otherwise, if you're making the decision based off the money, then you got to question the psychology. And we've all been there. I mean, come on, how many times have you had a really hard, tough day trading and you're up and you kind of, want to bring it home, right? So you have a good evening. That's normal human emotion right there. So it's hard to separate it. But realize that if you stop trading, it's based off emotions. And this is how emotions can affect us. That's just one example how it can affect us, but it can affect us in a variety of different ways. So psychology is really an excellent topic to talk about. So I kind of want to start off with that. I also want to give you something here, and I'm going to put a link up here for you to get our free handout. So you should have a link there that will get you our free psychology chapter reprint. So you might want to go ahead and grab that right now. All right, let me keep going here. All right, now, psychology, stress, worry, fear, greed can ruin your trading. I think all of us at some point, especially if you're a day trader, but a position trader too, have felt this type of psychology entering into your trading and really taking you out of the present moment and creating a situation where you're kind of worried about outcomes. And you kind of want to get away from that, okay? Because that's really very destructive. And if you're feeling that, you're probably better off stop trading and walk away and come back. And even Warren Buffett, who's more of a longer term trader, certainly understands and recognizes the importance of psychology in trading by stating a trader's improperly managed psychology can manifest losing trades even with a proven trading system. And that's so true. I've seen people take trading systems that are valid and create losses with them. And it's based on their psychology and how they implement it. So psychology, once again, very important aspect. And so is money management. Don't get me wrong. Money management and entries are also very important. But a lot of times, people overlook how important psychology is. And when I talk about psychology, I think there's some really kind of interesting points we can bring home with this. And I'm going to talk about three significant factors. One is visual perception, emotional perception, and environmental perception. And when we talk about the visual perception, when you look at something, are you seeing it for what it really is? Is it an illusion or is it reality? We're going to discuss that. We got some examples to show you with that. Then we're going to talk about emotional perception. And this is your mood. Are you fearful, scared, or optimistic going into the day? All right. How many times have you woken up and some days you feel great, you're not fearful about anything, and then other days you don't get a good night's sleep and then kind of things bother you, okay? That's what emotional perception is all about. It's, interpreting how you're feeling that day. And then the environmental perception is both your past and present and how that can inform your psychology as well. So a couple different factors. Let's first talk about visual perceptions. All right, one of the things I think you have to realize is that our minds are capable of more than we realize. Visual examples illustrate how our minds can conceive and create illusions we may not even be aware of. And a first example of that is just looking at this, for example. All right, so when you look at this, are the lines curving or are they actually vertical and horizontal? And the play on your mind here is that when you focus on it, they look like they curve, but in reality, they're actually straight. And again, this is what's going on in your perception and inside your mind that you kind of can't control. All right, so a lot can go on your perception of things that may or may not be reality. All right, focus on the woman's nose for about 15 or 20 seconds. Just focus on that. And then after that, look at the white background on the right-hand side of the screen. And tell me what you see.
I love this one.
A pretty woman, right? Okay, that's what you see on the right-hand side. All right, again, what are you doing to create that? Nothing. Your mind is doing it for you. And so a lot's going on in there that you're not realizing. All right, focus on the dots and count the black dots. Well, obviously, every time you look at them, they turn white, right? Again, a great example. All right, so visual examples illustrate how our minds can conceive and create illusions we may not even be aware of. Illusions can be visual or may be created subconsciously by emotions created by beliefs. If we learn how to control these illusions created from within, all right, they may be able to help us perceive reality as a more realistic situation, okay? Now, this leads us to ask a very important question. Are you seeing the markets as they really are? So when you look at a chart, for example, focus on this. What are your emotions without thinking? Probably, if they're like mine, it's probably a flat looking market. I'm not feeling too much emotion, right? Kind of range bound. Okay, you know, wait for a breakout or something, right? How about this market? What's your emotional feel on this? Yeah, a little bit more to it, right? That's right, Jeff. Exactly. Okay. You have to stand back and go, whoa, all right, things are happening here. So you have more emotions kicking in on a chart like this. All right. However, the reality is both these markets are the same. Exact same time periods, the same. And what we did is stretch the price axis, okay? X and Y axis up, okay? So by distorting charts, by just stretching them out, you may not even realize it, but you can be creating fear and greed, which are the emotions that you see when you have a more volatile market than you may be realizing. So when you look at a chart, keep that in mind, all right? Make sure you understand the difference between the highs and the lows in terms of the price, and don't get distorted by what may seem like an out of proportion distance. So always be thinking in that nature. All right, so that's just a quick synopsis of the visual perceptions that we have to deal with, okay? And as Roberto says, and exactly right, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? That's why two people can look at the same market and see at times two different things from it. One may be bullish and one may be bearish. All right, so the next exercise I want to look at is without thinking. I want everybody there to write down what animal does the market signify to you. Don't think about it, just write it down. And you don't have to share it, okay? This is personal, just write it down. All right, without thinking, write down what animal does the market signify. All right, a little bit about what you wrote and what it means. So your answer will tell you much about your beliefs about the market, okay? Are you creating artificial fear and greed causing inappropriate trading responses. Let's look into that. If the market is threatening or tricky to you, you will most likely choose an animal that could hurt you or deceive you, maybe like a lion, tiger, snake, etc. Now remember, if you love lions and you pick a lion, then that means that the lion's not threatening to you, obviously, right? So that's just an example. So the key thing is whatever particular animal you chose, is it threatening or not to you, okay? If the market is a threatening and hostile place, you will trade, or at least have a tendency to trade, from a fearful mindset. The usual outcome of trading from a fearful mindset, producing emotional trading, and therefore usually you will exit the market too quickly, or maybe even can't even pull the trigger at the right time. And the problem with that, for example, if you go into a trade and you have a fearful mindset, then you're probably not going to let that trade do what it needs to do when you first took the trade. You have a target, you have at least a way in which you're trailing stops, you have a reason for going into the market. But if you go into that trade and you're fearful that you're going to lose money, you may exit the market too quickly, and at times even before you have any profit, right? All right, so you kind of got to think about that. However, also too, the other side of the coin is that the market is a fun and safe place to you, and you will most likely choose an animal that is non-threatening to you, all right? So like a favorite pet or something, right? And again, this stance, however, taken to the extreme, this will lead to a lackadaisical, unstructured trading approach, leading to poor risk control and eventual loss. So that's kind of an interesting exercise because it will tell you a little bit about your mindset in regards to the market. One of my favorite things is, I like boating, right? And so, a lot of people are afraid of the sea, all right? And I used to do a lot of ocean sailing. And I had respect for the sea. And I never really thought of it as a threatening place. I just enjoyed doing what I did on it, right? And I had respect, I was careful, okay? Wore a life harness at sea and stuff like that. So I did all the kinds of things a trader would do by, putting a protective stop in and all that kind of good stuff. So you can respect the environment, yet at the same time, you want to also take the precautions in order to protect yourself if things don't turn out well, right? So that's key. And I think, Roberto, you said it here, be cautious but respectful, right? Cautious but respectful. So I think that's a good way of approaching it. I love this saying about fear, the word fear, false evidence appearing real. Okay, fear is relative, it really is. Real versus false both create emotions. So a lot of times, if you think about times when you're fearful, there's legitimate times, right? There's times when, somebody's chasing you with a weapon or something, okay, I'd be fearful too and run like heck. However, there's a lot of times where we create a worst case scenario in our mind in response to an event. And people do this in trading, what if I lose all my money? What if I do this and that? And so the emotions that are created by a real fear versus one, I'll call it false, okay? One you may kind of make up in your mind. The emotions you feel are the same, okay? You're fearful, all right? Your heart will go up, your heart rate will go up, the whole 9 yards, okay? So even though it's not real, you've created it as real in your mind. So you need to learn to distinguish between real and false fear. All right, if you're trading in the markets and you have a stop in place and you're dealing with a system you've tested, then what do you have to be afraid of? Any fear beyond that, you're probably creating it yourself. So kind of keep that in check, okay? I think that's important. All right, so fear is basically an illusion, whether it's real or not, that we feel is threatened. Now, one of the things you can do if your mind gets a little away from you and you start, going down this road of fearing stuff you shouldn't be fearing, so to speak, is you need to stop it. and you need to figure out how to conquer that, or else it's going to keep coming back in your trading day after day after day. And let's take a look at a few instances here with some people that have really dealt with fear on a daily basis and have overcome it. Samurai warrior, okay? How does he overcome fear in a battle? Okay, whether it's a modern day, or if you go in the back in historical samurai warrior. Basically, one of the things that they used to say is they have no mind. All right, they fight in the current moment and don't think of the outcome. And one of the readings on it was basically saying if a samurai starts to fear the outcome, they usually at that point are done, because they can't react in the current moment. And if you think about that, when you get tired, and let's say you're day trading a very short time frame, and you lose your edge, you lose your wits, okay, then you start to fear the outcome, and you're not focused on the current reality. It's best to step away, okay, step away. Combat fighter pilots, similar situation, all right, race car drivers and us traders. But what is the key thing that all of these successful people have in common? What do you think? I'll give you a moment. Think about it. What do these people do day in and day out in order to not be fearful in what they do? They practice, right? Okay, a samurai warrior, all right, does nothing but practice. Combat fighter pilots, they're in simulators and they go out into the flight deck and they do all the practice. Race car drivers the same way. So they're constantly doing what they love and learning from mistakes, and at the same particular point, practicing, so when it's time to do what they need to do, they don't have to think about it, and they have the confidence to do it. Traders, really important. You have to have a proven system, and then you have to practice it day in and day out, so it's second nature. And then you won't question whether you should go long or short. You won't question where to put your stops. You won't question where to take profits, because you've done it so much, it's just become part of you. And that's kind of how you stop fear. So it's a lot of practice. The other thing that's important is beliefs and thoughts. And when we talk about this, I like to focus on some of the beliefs and thoughts focusing around both losing and winning. When you lose a trade, do you energize it? What do I mean by that? What do I mean by energize it? Kind of making it bigger than it needs to be, right? And you can attach a lot of emotions to losing, and you can spiral down, right? I'm no good. I'm a lose. Even if you lose once, I've seen traders when they lose just once or twice, and they're well within their trading limits, they start to spiral down because it's so attached to their ego. Winning, okay? Do you energize that as well? So when you have a great day, or you're on cloud 9 and you feel like $1 million and you're good, and when you have a losing day or you're down in the dumps, okay? You kind of want to not do that. You want to kind of keep an even keel. So when you lose a trade, my recommendation is learn from it. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you missed something. As humans, it's easy to miss things, right? We do it all the time. How many times have you done something and said, what was I thinking, right? Okay, it happens. So learn from it, all right? And chances are, if you've got a proven system, if you make a mistake here and there, it's an error, okay? Kind of just like in baseball, they have errors, all right? You move on, all right? Learn from it and move on, all right? Winning, okay? You don't want to think that you're the best thing since apple pie, but you do kind of want to learn from the wins. What'd you do right? Okay, what went well with that? All right, that's good, okay? You don't want to energize the losers more than the winners. Try to keep them pretty similar and treat it as a business. You know, you're going to have wins and you're going to have losses. The main thing is in trading, you at the end of the day, you want to be like the casino. You want to win more than lose, right? All right. Also, too, when we talk about beliefs and thoughts, we talk about our core beliefs. Do you perceive yourself as a winner or a loser, whether it's trading or not? What about money? Is money good or bad to you? What about trading? Is it even possible? What about success? Do you deserve it? All right. If you're struggling with any of those core beliefs, then probably it will surface in your trading. Trading is really great because it definitely will find your weakest link, right? But the idea is none of those things are permanent. They can all be worked on. But you need to identify maybe some core beliefs that are not helping you in trading and change those, right? And even if you have to seek help to do it, you do it. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. All right. The last area to talk about here, and then we'll wrap it up, is the environment. All right. So your environment can impact your belief system, and that's your past and your current system. And we all have this unique maze that we go through. No two people have the same past or the same real current present situation. All right. So kind of try to figure out your maze and how that may or may not be affecting your belief system. Okay. So in other words, take a step back, take a look and see if there's any areas of improvement you can make. Because ultimately these things will lead you to the classic situation of looking at the glass and determining if it's half full or half empty. Is this a visual illusion or a belief illusion? Optimism or pessimism? Okay. So, you know, the glass half full can kind of tell the story. It's either half full or half empty. Which is it to you? And your answer will be based on the things we talked about. So to sum it up, okay, our minds are actually capable of more than we realize, both subconsciously and conscious, all right? We have to be careful of creating fearful illusions that aren't really based in reality. I think that's important. What you see is not always what's there, okay? You have to make sure that what you're seeing is what you're seeing. It's real, so to speak. Has it been distorted and things of that nature? And again, I go back to the chart example of stretching the chart out. Also, there's been some studies that indicate if your monitors are at lower level than your eye, that affects your trading in a negative way, okay? If it's above your eye level, all right, that actually has been shown to create a more profitable situation. Interesting, right? All right, so let's see what else we got here. All right, I think that is important. So I think you got to focus on skills, and I think you've got to paper trade or practice trading or however you want to do it, and do it as the markets unfold, back test, whatever you need to do to create confidence in your trading approach so you have the science out of the way, and then you can focus on trading it well. And that's going to be where psychology and, of course, risk control is all part of that come into play. All right. And it's a journey. OK, this is not easy stuff. Winners are not people who never fail, but people who never quit. I have never met a successful person that really didn't fail their way to the top. OK, you're going to fall off the horse. You're going to have setbacks. Learn from them. Okay, and keep moving on. You know, I tell my kids, you're going to fall off the saddle. Just make sure you get back on the horse. Okay, that's the important part. All right, you will not develop the trader's mindset and be a successful trader unless you master your mind. So look at your core beliefs and look at basically things that you think are either helping or not helping your trading. All right. And it may be situations where you feel fear creeping in, especially if you're a day trader. You may be just getting tired. Take some time away from the screen. All right. If you're trading like a 1 minute time frame, all right, you may love it, but after a couple hours of doing it, you may need to take a break. So you need to listen to what your body is telling you. Okay. All right. So I'll end here and again, get that free report. All right, so that's what I got for you today. Have a great one. I try to keep these at about half an hour and we're in a couple minutes over, but I think this is important stuff. So I think it's a good topic. And we'll be back here next week with another topic. And of course, any questions that you have, please bring them. Thanks guys for coming. And we want you to know that, past performance doesn't guarantee future performance. In fact, nothing can really be guaranteed in the markets. We deal in a realm of uncertainties, and therefore it is probabilities. So even with a proven trading system, you're not going to win all the time, and that's where risk control comes in, and psychology, which is what we're going to talk about today. Also, too, if we cover anything of any interest to you, like a stock or something, that sometimes that comes up, please run that by your financial advisor. If I recommend it, remember, I don't know your personal situation, they do, so something may or may not be appropriate for you, but just check with them to get the final okay.
Serving traders worldwide since 1998, TradersCoach.com provides educational services for traders and investors alike. We have developed trading software to help traders of every level improve their skills. Our site is dedicated to providing you with all the resources, software, and educational material you need to achieve your trading goals. It is because of our years of experience, attention to detail, and our exceptional customer service that TradersCoach.com is the right choice for you. Call us today.